Hello everyone, I'm Nick Harrison, and today I'm going to talk about how I built this giant size 10 times scale pocket knife. So the first thing I do is use 8.5 by 11 regular size printer paper to scale up this thing. So basically I took a picture of my pocket knife on a sheet of paper, scaled it up 10 times, and then tiled that down so that it could be printed on 8.5 by 11 paper. I taped all the seams and edges together, and then I cut it all out with an X-Acto knife. I headed over to the miter saw to rough cut down some material before milling it. Basically I just measured each section of the knife from here to here and then cut down my rough cut size. Then I head over to the planer just to get everything perfectly smooth. Now that I have my paper cut out and my boards flattened, I just use a pencil to trace out the rough shape of the knife handles. Now that the shape's cut out, it's time to cut it out. I use the jigsaw, the bandsaw, whatever I could find really. After it's rough cut, I head over to my belt sander just to get it exactly up to my trace line. Once I get one done and exact, I trace it out on the other board so that I have both sides of my knife handle. I rough cut out the other side of the knife, and then I use the blue tape trick, which is basically just taping and putting some CA glue and activator, glue them together, and then head over to my router table and use a flush trim bit just to make an exact copy of the second side of the knife. Now that the knife handles are done, I basically repeat the process for the blade. I printed it off separately, blew it up bigger, tiled it down on 8.5 by 11, and then planed it down, traced it out, rough cut it out with a jigsaw. After everything was cut out, I head over to the drill press, lined up my pieces, and drilled for these pegs. They're basically separator pegs that hold the two knife handles in the right spot. Scaled up based on the original knife, and these ended up being 1-inch dowel rods. Here I'm using a 2-inch hole saw bit to drill out what you would have like for your lanyard hole in the back. Don't do that. It burns too easily. Just do as I say, not as I do. Don't do that. I hate hole saws. Back over at the drill press here, just drilling out for the pivoting point up here. Here I'm using my belt sander to work on quote-unquote sharpening the blade. Just tapering it down on each side just to get it as straight as possible and to appear like it's the real knife. Using the jigsaw here, I'm making the shape of the clip that goes on the back. That clip needs to only be a certain thickness, so I head over to the bandsaw just to resaw it down to get it a little bit thinner. After I get done at the bandsaw, I head over to the planer just to plane it down, get it smoothed out, and again, a little bit thicker. Go over to the router table, change out for a round over bit, and I'm going to put a round over on pretty much everything. I didn't realize that this round over bit wasn't as big as I would like, and I already have one in my palm router, so I just use my palm router to put a round over on all the components of the knife. I start sanding down the inside of the knife handles. I don't do the outside yet, but the inside I need done because I'm going to next glue up the two pieces and I won't be able to get in there. So lots and lots of sanding on both sides of the blade and then the inside of the knife handles. Then I start gluing everything up. I apply some glue on each of the dowel rods or the pins, put them in, hammer them down to where they're flush on one side, and then work on the other side. I put the dowel rods in here to create a 1-inch spacer, hammered those down, waited for the glue to dry. After the glue is dry, I use a flush trim saw to cut off the other side of the pegs. Then I lay out where the clip is going to go. I glue a spacer in here to hold that clip away from the blade or the handle, and then I glue the clip on. While that's drying, I worked on trying to sand out some of the burn marks in here from that hole saw bit. I'm doing this with a little sanding drum attachment that can go inside your drill. After that's done, I head over to the drill press with a Forstner bit, and I work on putting these little grip indentions into here and on the top of this blade. Not sure what the point of that is, but it's on the real knife, so I did it on this knife. And again, after those are drilled out, I sanded those as smooth as I could. Now it's time for the long sanding session. I started at 80 grit and I went all the way up actually to 3000 grit. That is completely unnecessary, but hey, it's silky smooth now. This took quite a while and is not super fun. Here's the finished product. I just took some B-roll of it after finish was applied. I just applied wipe-on poly. I did 2 coats. I think that's sufficient. This is just Poplar. I don't really know what else I would use Poplar for except for maybe face frames. So I decided to use Poplar on this just because, like I said, it's mainly for fun, mainly for show. Hope you enjoyed that video. All the tools that I used in this project, I'll link those down below if you want to get one for yourself. They're all Amazon links. I encourage you to check it out. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. I post almost daily over there. It's at Leather and Wood USA. I'm Nick Harrison. Thank you for watching.